Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Genesis, the 37th chapter. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. So basically, Joseph, was at this point kind of snitching on him, right? He would basically be the eyes and ears of Jacob and, telling them, what they were doing, how they're working and so on. But as it mentions, their evil report. So basically, this news that he brought of them wasn't really good. Now, Israel being Jacob, loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, i.e., one, Joseph was the son of Rachel, whom Jacob loved out of all his wives the most, and Jacob, as it says, had him in his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors, so like a nice cloak of diverse colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So they basically, picked on him, because he was the father's favorite, like how people would pick on a teacher's pet. But as it says, they could not speak peaceably unto him. So they never really had anything nice to say to him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. So basically, if they didn't hate him before, they sure did now. And he said unto them, and this basically came more from like envy, right? And like that him basically just annoying them, right? He was just like an annoyance to them. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. So listen, hear my dream that I had a dream. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and the sheaf are like the bundles. So they're basically tying up the bundles. And Joseph says his sheaf basically rises up and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf, which is to bow, basically, and reverence. And his brethren said unto him, oh, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? So basically, who the hell this guy thinks? So this guy, he really thinks that he's about to, he's going to be over us? I guess that's what you're telling us your dream means, right? So we basically ain't shit. You just gonna come over here and just and just take over and dominate. And and they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. So you know there was definitely a lot of talking about him, right? Every time he would come around, it's like, yo, this, oh my gosh, probably speaking to each other like, yo, somebody please hold me back because I'm about to do something to this kid. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. So he just wasn't stopping. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Meaning that they all bowed to him. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, that's enough, Joseph. What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to the earth to thee, or to thee to the earth? And that's what the dream would signify, right? The sun and the moon would be Jacob and well, in this case, Rachel, though she was dead at this point. But them and the 11 stars would represent the rest of his brothers, right? Because there were 12 of them. So his 11 brothers. And here Jacob is saying, what are you saying, that what, you're going to be over us all? Now, this dream was actually prophetic, right? Because indeed, that is what ended up happening. As we keep on reading through the story, we'll get to it, right? We'll see how this dream that Joseph had ends up playing out. And his brethren envied him. So they had this kind of like an evil eye towards him, right? Out of one, he was his father's favorite, right? He probably had to do the least amount of work, if any. He was snitching on them. He's always having dreams about them basically being under him. And so, they as it says, they envied him. But his father observed the saying. So even though Jacob rebuked him, he laid it to his mind, because he knew that Joseph was special in the dreams that he had, but also that dreams like these weren't just for nothing. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Because remember, once again, he had a huge, flocks and herds and so on. So they went to feed him. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. So basically, your brothers are feeding the sheep. I'm gonna send you unto them. Go see how they doing, and bring me back the report. And he said unto him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So that was kind of like his job, right? Also being young, go and check on them, see how it's going, and then come and tell me, what's up. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, the vale being the valley, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. So he was likely looking, Joseph that is, looking for his brothers. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So they said, oh my gosh, here this guy's coming again. Let's just kill him at this point. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Here comes Mr. Dreamer. Come now, therefore, let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dreams. So this he likes to dream, right? He likes to dream a lot. Well, let's see. Let's kill him. We'll throw him somewhere. We'll just make up a story and say like some wild animal, kill him. And then let's see. Dead men don't tell dreams, right? Dead men don't dream. Dreams don't come true for the dead, right? Anyway, verse 21. And Reuben heard it. Now remember, Reuben was the eldest. And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. So he basically intervened and said, no, that's not a good idea. Let's not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast them into this pit that is in the wilderness. And that was like a well or a cistern that had no water in it. And they lay no hands on him, that he might, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. So Reuben's plan was, look, just throw him in the well. Don't kill him, just throw him in the well. And basically, Reuben's plan was that this way they wouldn't they wouldn't kill him, and Reuben would come later on and get him out of the well. And Reuben said unto them, it's like here, verse 23, and it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. So the one that Jacob made for him, they basically just like, give me that. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, the company of Ishmaelites, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So they said, "Oh, perfect." As they were about to eat, they see basically these were like merchants, right? Ishmaelites traveling on their way to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, "What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood?" So, we're not really gonna gain anything if we kill him. Now we got to cover up the story and say, all that. Let's just come. Let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. So that's not going to be a good thing to bring that kind of judgment upon us. And his brethren were content, so they all agreed. Now Reuben wasn't here at this time. Okay, he probably took a certain group of the flock to feed them, maybe a little further off. But when they were making this plan, Reuben wasn't here. So they decided, you know what? We threw him into the well, but let's just sell him instead. Then there passed by Midianite merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So when they saw the Ishmaelites, they went and removed Joseph out the pit. They said, "Here, we got a slave for you." And for 20 pieces of silver, they sold their brother. And Reuben returned onto the pit. So later on, when Reuben comes back, he's thinking, okay, now let me, I'm going to get Joseph out the pit and then take him back home. And behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. So he was stressed because Reuben didn't actually want to kill Joseph. And he returned unto his brethren and said, "The child is not, and whither shall I go?" So basically, what am I going to do now? Because keep in mind also that Reuben was the eldest. So basically, most, if not all, the responsibility would fall on him first. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a goat or a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. So now they had to come up with a story. So they basically, that coat that they took off of him, they just made it look like they put some blood up in it. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no." So they basically gave the coat probably maybe to some other workers or so, and they sent it and say, "Hey, go take this, and give him the message like, yo, we found this coat, like this. Isn't this basically Joseph's coat?" And he knew it, Jacob that is, and said, "It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces." So at this point, he's like in shock, Jacob that is, and he's like, damn. He's looking at it, and he's like, shit. So he thinks Joseph is dead now. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning." Thus his father wept for him. So he would just weep and weep and weep and talk about how he's going to die mourning for Joseph, and then continues to weep. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. So basically that's where Joseph ends up. So Potiphar, being basically like a captain in Pharaoh's army, is he's the household to whom Joseph was sold as a slave to. And that brings us to the end of the book of Genesis, the 37th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.